Her father said it with the confidence of a man who believed the world owed him obedience. "Take the pretty one," he told the Duke, his hand resting possessively on Leora's shoulder. Leora stood exactly as she had been trained to stand, chin lifted, lips curved into a graceful smile, eyes bright with rehearsed modesty. She was beautiful in the way portraits were beautiful, carefully arranged and meant to impress. The room seemed to agree with him. Even the servants paused, as if the choice were obvious, inevitable. The Duke's eyes followed the gesture, lingered on Leora for a moment, and then moved on. They drifted past the shimmering silk and the practiced posture, settling instead on the far end of the room, where Ellen stood near the window, half hidden by heavy curtains that muted the afternoon light. Ellen felt it immediately, that uncomfortable awareness of being seen when she least expected it. She had mastered the art of becoming invisible, of standing where no one thought to look. Her dress was plain, chosen because it would not draw attention. Her hair was pinned simply, not because she disliked adornment, but because no one had ever thought it worth the effort. She was the rejected sister, a role assigned so early that it had settled into her bones. While Leora learned how to smile and accept compliments, Ellen learned how to listen, how to move quietly, how to fix what others broke and never be thanked for it. She assumed the Duke's gaze would pass over her, as all gazes did. It did not. "I will choose the other daughter," the Duke said at last, his voice steady and unmistakably certain. The words struck the room like a dropped glass. Leora's smile froze, then cracked. Her father laughed once, sharply, as if the Duke had made a clever joke. "You misunderstand," he said quickly. "That one," he gestured vaguely toward Ellen without even saying her name. "She is not suited for a man of your position." Ellen felt heat rush to her face, shame arriving before hope could even form. She lowered her eyes, waiting for the correction, the polite dismissal. It had happened before, in smaller ways. Always before. But the Duke did not laugh. He stepped closer to Ellen, close enough that she could see faint lines at the corners of his eyes. Marks left not by age but by endurance. "What is your name?" he asked her, not her father. She hesitated, surprised by the simplicity of the question. "Ellen," she answered softly. "Ellen," he repeated, as if testing the sound of it, then nodded. "And what do you love?" The question felt far more dangerous than the proposal itself. No one had ever asked her that, not genuinely. Love was a luxury reserved for those whose opinions mattered. Her father shifted impatiently, clearly ready to answer on her behalf. Ellen spoke before he could. "I love restoring old things," she said, her voice trembling despite herself. "Furniture people throw away, books with missing pages. I like seeing what they once were and what they can still become." The Duke listened as though she were telling him something of great importance. "That," he said quietly, "is not a useless skill." Her father scoffed. "She is too quiet. Too ordinary. She will not shine beside you." The Duke's gaze never left Ellen. "I have lived long enough among people who shine," he replied. "I have learned they often leave nothing warm behind them." Then, turning fully toward Ellen, he offered his arm not possessively, not triumphantly, but as an invitation. "If you are willing." Ellen stared at his arm, at the space between choice and fear. For years, she had survived by expecting nothing. Expectation was dangerous. It made disappointment sharper. Being chosen meant being seen, measured, perhaps discarded later with more finality than before. But it also meant stepping out of the small cage she had built for herself. She took his arm. That night, alone in her childhood room, Ellen sat on the edge of her bed long after the candles burned low. She did not sleep. She cried not with the joy she thought she should feel, but with the release of someone whose life had suddenly shifted off a path worn smooth by neglect. What if she failed him? What if the household he promised revealed her inadequacies more cruelly than her father ever had? She pressed her hand to her chest and realized something unsettling. For the first time, the future frightened her because it might hold something good in the days that followed, The house changed toward her. Servants watched her with new curiosity. Leora avoided her entirely, and when their eyes did meet, there was no anger there, only a deep wounded disbelief. Their father alternated between forced kindness and cold calculation, already measuring losses and gains. The Duke returned often, not with gifts meant to impress, but with questions. He asked how she spent her days, what she noticed, what she thought. He listened when she answered, even when her words came slowly, shaped by years of caution. When Ellen arrived at the Duke's estate weeks later, she expected grandeur to overwhelm her. It did not. What surprised her instead was the quiet order of the place, the sense that things were maintained rather than displayed. The Duke showed her the library, shelves filled with books bearing cracked spines and handwritten notes in the margins. "I dislike things that have never been used," he said simply. In that moment, something inside her loosened out. Life beside him was not effortless, but it was honest. He did not ask her to become beautiful. He did not correct her silences. He valued her memory, her attentiveness, the way she noticed when a servant was ill or a room felt too empty. When a chair broke, she fixed it. When a plan failed, she adapted it. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, Ellen began to stand straighter, not because she was watched, but because she no longer wished to disappear. One morning, as she prepared to leave her childhood home for the final time, Ellen stood at the doorway and looked back. She felt no triumph, no revenge, only distance. The girl who had learned to be invisible still existed within her, but she was no longer alone at the front of her life. Being chosen had not made Ellen extraordinary. It had simply allowed her to be seen. And in that quiet visibility she discovered something more powerful than beauty or approval, the freedom to believe that she had always been enough.